So the first of the All-Ireland semi-finals has finished as most of us expected, which is of course Dublin are in the final. Galway knocked out the championship. I'm joined now by Laois's Ross Munnelly. Was there anything about that performance today that surprised you?
I don't think so. Coming up to half-time, it looked like Galway were well in the game, but then the second half, I think more so than Dublin pushing on, Galway kind of lost their own momentum and lost a bit of penetration up front, and that was probably the big difference between the first half and the second half. And ultimately, when they couldn't get scores on the board and they couldn't really threaten the Dublin goal, they fell out of the game, and Dublin ran on to be comprehensive winners.
I spoke to Kevin Welch downstairs just a few minutes ago, and he spoke about how some of the refereeing decisions he wasn't happy with. Now, I myself couldn't see anything that was that blatant a wrong decision, for the want of a better phrase, and I asked him that, and he said, well, it killed our momentum. I suppose you'd understand this. Momentum, hard to gain but easy to lose. Yeah,
probably. And I suppose if I'm looking at the stats sheets there, I think they were even enough in terms of they both had seven place balls to kick for scores each, and so on. So I'm not so sure there was anything blatant that was standing up. But maybe he's talking about fouls in the opposition's half and things like that maybe slowed down their momentum coming when they were trying to counter-attack Dublin. But maybe Kevin might need to expand on that a little bit more.
Dublin now are still obviously in line for their 4 in a row. They are a great team, but I suppose the thing that makes them great is that they're more than the sum of their parts. Like, their bench would probably line out for most inter-county teams, and that's what we see. Even when a team can keep with them, that's what makes the difference.
Yeah, and today was no different insofar as Costello came on. He kicked a point off his right foot, he fisted one over, and then he kicked a free as well in the absence of Dean Rock late in the game. Paul Flynn came on, took a really good point from play and smashed the crossbar literally with the last kick of the game. Kev Mack came in. I think he kicked 2 if not 3 points. So a lot of scores coming from the Dublin bench. But that's, I think, what Dublin expect. And if you come on as a substitute and you're brought into the game, they expect you to make a meaningful impact, and coming on and going through the motions won't cut it at this Dublin team. So those guys are very much part of a 25-man squad that obviously when it comes to a day only 21 can play, and when you get in you have to take your chance. And Dublin, those guys made a big impression last week as well, and Dublin with somebody like Owen O'Gara, who scored 2 brilliant goals here last week, couldn't get in this week. So a lot of competition in the Dublin, particularly up front for Dublin in the next couple of weeks.
One thing though for Dublin is that it was by no means a perfect performance. I mean, they still won quite easily. I'm sure though that Jim Gavin will have some things to be working on, and especially in the first half, how easily Damien Comer was able to sneak in behind his defence and looked fairly easy to get onto the ball.
Yeah, and a brilliant goal from him. The cross-field pass that probably caught out between Cluxton and a couple of Dublin defenders were a little bit unsure, and he took full advantage of it with a brilliant finish. And late in the second half there, where Shane Walsh seemed to dribble the ball in soccer style and hammer it to the back of the net, and those are the kind of things that maybe we don't expect from Dublin. But you have to credit Galway too. They kept going, and they obviously, we've all said that they would need goals to win this game. They got 2, and ultimately it wasn't enough.
Finally, I'm going to ask you to get your crystal ball out here now. Who is going to win tomorrow, Monaghan or Tyrone?
Yeah, I've fancied Monaghan right throughout the Ulster Championship, and I was very surprised to see them lose outright at the death against Fermanagh, which obviously put an end to their Ulster crusade. But something tells me about this Tyrone team, and tomorrow, especially with the game being in Croke Park, I just think that Tyrone might edge it tomorrow, simply because they have that big game experience here in Croke Park. Not so much maybe from a playing perspective, but in terms of their backroom team, and Mickey Hart has been here, done that on so many occasions. I also think that in the last couple of weeks they have been very good in terms of finishing out games. I think was it 2-5 to a point. They outscored Donegal in the last 15 minutes last week. In their game against Dublin, probably from 55 minutes on, they outscored Dublin in the Super 8s 6 points to 3 in the run in that game as well. And I just think that Tyrone have that little bit of experience that maybe will get them over the line tomorrow, but it's so narrow in terms of the difference going to be between these two teams.
And whoever comes over the line tomorrow, can any of them beat Dublin?
Yeah, well, I think that there's a big opportunity missed for Mayo this year. Obviously, the injuries caught up with them. I think with the way things are panning out, Mayo would have had a massive say again this year. In terms of those teams that are left, I do think they will challenge. I think whoever gets in there will make a real game of it in the final, and I think maybe on this occasion Tyrone, with the momentum that they have, might be a little bit better equipped.